have our second guest speaker, who is Svetha Venkatesh, who is the director of the Applied Artificial Intelligence Institute and also one of our sort of supporters for Bold Punjab in the work we're trying to do. She is one of the top 15 women in the world when it comes to artificial intelligence, and she's ridiculously humble, and she's the only woman in Australia on that list. And Svetha's research has led to spin-offs that are now publicly listed companies called Isotana. But Svetha, I'll hand it over to you to share a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Daisy. And again, thank you for inviting me to this function. I think it's phenomenal that you're doing this event. So I'll share my story like Ajay. And I was born and I studied in India. I went to IIT Delhi, Roorkee first, and then IIT Delhi. And this was many years ago. And then when I finished, I took up a job in a computer company and called ICL International. It was a British firm. I got a job at TCS, which was the Indian company and a British company, where the British company paid twice as much. So that was my first mistake, to go for the better salary. And I quickly realized this was hopeless because I was learning nothing. So anyway, but I decided to stay in India and not go overseas because me and my husband were very idealistic and we thought we'd be able to make a lot of change. But this was a long time ago, and 5 years later, we decided we could not change anything in the system. So we decided we'd sort of go overseas and try our luck there. So we arrived in Australia about, I think, nearly 38 years ago, which is probably before any of you were born, probably. And I had a 2.5-year-old son, and like Ajay, we had very little money. We literally had, I think, $400 or something like that. And we arrived in Perth. And but I was very confident. We arrived on a Thursday, and I was very confident I would go out on Monday and get some kind of a job. And actually, Australia was kind of nice at that time. So I did get a job on Monday. And so that was the start. But as Ajay says, it was hard, and you just had to work really, really hard. You were kind of a little bit invisible. They'd be surprised if you could speak English, or you could even write a program or anything, which worked to your advantage a little bit, but that was good. And then my husband, who works in oil and gas industry, was posted in Karratha. I don't know whether you know where it is, but it's like way north of Perth, in the middle of the Pilbara. And so literally I came from Delhi with 15 million people to Karratha, which is like 400 people. And I was really shocked. I was like, what happened? Where are all the people? And it was like a huge culture shock to me. Anyway, I took like a year off. My son was very small, so I kind of looked after him for a bit at home for 2 years. And then we came back to Perth. And then, and as Ajay says, it's these inflection points, and I call them pivot points, like points where you pivot in your life that are really, really interesting and, take you on your journey. So I studied electronics engineering in my engineering. I hadn't even done computer science. So I'd never studied computer science as a subject. And so when I came to Perth, I applied, but computer science was very new then. And so I applied for a job in the electrical engineering department and the computer science one, and I got both. So I decided not to do the electrical engineering one, on which I was trained, and decided to do the computer science one, because somehow I had a feeling that that's going to be the future. Now that was a good pivot point, I think. So it's these kind of points that you make, which is a risk, which is much more of a risk because I knew nothing, that kind of make your life interesting, I think. So anyway, I went on from there, and then, I did the usual teaching and research and so on and so forth. And then I became head of school, and then I realized that I don't want to do this thing. This university administration is not for me. That's when I decided to be a researcher for life. So that was the other pivot point. I decided I'm just going to do research, and I set up my own institute and started doing research in basically what was called pattern recognition, now machine learning and AI. So that kind of space I've been working on for a very, very long time. And I think that's been wonderful. And in that, there are a couple of pivot points that I made that I'd like to talk about. So there are many kinds of researchers. There are researchers who take, one thing and they work on it for 40 years or 30 years. But I kind of like to do something for like 10 years or something like that. So I pick a topic and I work on it for 10 years. And then I actually sometimes walk away from a field and then take another one and do it for another 10 years. And I think that that's I never realized that this is kind of what startups do, but I kind of do that in my own research. And I think that that's really wonderful because it does two things. You're constantly looking for new ideas. I only work on things when it either is really, really interesting, and also people have to be interesting. So, with this, I think you can do a lot of stuff. Hard work, something that you're really passionate about. You can't go the distance on something that's mundane or something that you don't like. So I think that that's really another aspect of research which I found interesting. And the other thing I wanted to say is I've been trying to do stuff in India for a long time, and basically I haven't done anything. So it was wonderful when I met Daisy. And so we decided that we are very passionate about wanting to empower women entrepreneurs, actually any entrepreneur in general, really, in India. And so we want to start, we've tried a few things. We've done like 1 or 2 projects in India now, and I think we want to expand it. And Bold Punjab, I think, is the start of a journey of such things that we plan to do. So maybe I'll keep it short, Daisy, and hand it back to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And thanks for sharing. And Svetha's just been such a great supporter of myself and my work at Deakin. I met her when I was like 21 years old. And by I think 21 or 22, by 23, she said, "You're the manager now." And I said, "What? I don't know how to manage anything." And so she's really invested in me. And I'm blessed that I think the combination of serendipity and hard work that I came across you at the campuses of Deakin, and then you gave me so much opportunity. So I thank you for that.